welcome to another interesting episode of Feminine Scope, a program where we discuss issues affecting women, celebrating their triumphs that covers different spheres of life and seeking ways to solve their challenges. I am Amanda Ezekwe. Women, whether they are homemakers or working moms, have to work all day long. Usually, they will be the first ones to get up early in the morning, prepare breakfast, pack lunch boxes for the kids. They help their husbands and kids in getting ready to leave for the office and the school. If they are working moms, they too leave home with them. If they are stay-at-home moms, they have to arrange the home, cook food, clean the house, do laundry, and then go back to pick up the kids from school and get busy with them once again, till it's time for hubby to get back home. They don't get time to relax and pamper themselves. Even if they plan a small nap while kids are awake, it's next to impossible, especially if they have toddlers. Women, why do we have this attitude towards ourselves? Is it possible to take time out to show ourselves a little bit of love and care? To answer these questions, my guest today, a life coach who offers counseling and support services to people who want to be a better version of themselves. You'll get to meet her after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Feminine Scope, and today we'll be looking at the woman's general well-being as we talk about self-care and self-love. We have our guest in the studio, a life coach who offers counseling and support services to people who want to be a better version of themselves and create incredible impossibilities. She specializes in coaching on personal development, premarital counseling, marriage counseling, and therapy after divorce. Coach Khadija Ibrahim, popularly called Coach K. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Today we're talking about the general well-being of a woman. And we're talking about self-care and self-love. What is self-care and self-love? Because many people don't really understand the definition of this, especially as it relates to the woman. So what is self-care and self-love?
So I'll be very simple. Self-care is actually self-love is being able to love yourself. And self-care is the process or the actions you take while you love yourself. A lot of people will say, what does she mean? Or what does it mean to, how does she mean by just self-love? Of course, everybody loves themselves. Mm-hmm. But then, what are the actions that you are doing not to love yourself? And what are the actions that shows that you actually love yourself? So that's what self-love is. It's actually just nourishing yourself with what you do to grow, what you do to prosper, and what you do to fulfill your life's fulfillment.
So, self-care.
So, self-care are the actions you take, just as it is taking care of yourself. And how are you doing that? What are the actions that you are doing to take care of yourself?
So, how does self-love relate with self-care?
Okay, so I would say is the chicken and egg kind of a thing here. So, so the chicken births the egg. Mm-hmm. So, self-love births self-care. And also, you can't have the egg without the chicken. So they go hand in hand. So you cannot love yourself without taking care of yourself, and you cannot have self-care without having self-love.
So why is self-love important?
Okay. So self-love is actually the way you appreciate yourself, the way you look at yourself. Because the first person you actually come in a communication with, you have a communication with, is yourself. Why? Because mentally you have to think it over. You have to talk to yourself before you're able to talk to anybody. So how kind are you to yourself? What are you saying to yourself? What are those thoughts that you say to yourself? And we have heard people saying things like, why me? Mm-hmm. Like, oh God, why me? And all of these kind of things. And these are negative affirmations. These are negative ways that we speak to ourselves. Sometimes if we go into our heads and we just think about how we talk to ourselves, we cannot actually vocalize it to someone else because it's really bad. Like we tend to judge ourselves like, Like, you talk to yourself all the time. There are these chatter things that just goes around. I'm sure you're familiar with it. There's one thing telling you you're stupid. There's one thing telling you you're ugly. There's one thing telling you, oh, how are they looking at me? There's one thing telling you, I'm not good enough. There's one thing telling you I'm imperfect. And all of these things just keep on going and going on in your mind. So that is the conversation we keep having in our mind. So if you're not able to filter that, how are you able to filter that? By practicing self-care. How are you practicing self-care? By actually loving yourself. And what are you able to tell yourself? First, we have to accept that we are imperfect. And those things that, or those actions that we take, are what actually affirms that we love ourselves. So first, you have to be able to communicate with yourself in a loving manner. That's part of self-love. Secondly, you have to be able to exude that love to other people. Because before you expect any other person to love you, you have to love yourself first.
Most women, we feel very guilty when we even take time out for ourselves, by ourselves. How can we stop relegating ourselves to the background, especially when it comes to taking care of ourselves?
Okay, so before we even ask ourselves, okay, what are we even doing that shows that we are taking care of ourselves? We have to give ourselves back to ourselves. Like, apart from being roles to other people, we live in a world where we have to have conversations or relationship with other people. We have to play a mother role, we have to play a sister role, we have to play a child role, we have to play many roles at the work and whatever situation we find ourselves, forgetting ourselves. Forgetting that we have to give back to ourselves. Forgetting we are always expecting other people to give to us. I think this is the general kind of expectation. But then if we look inward, how are you fueling yourself? How are you giving back to yourself? What are you saying to yourself? Are you able to look at yourself in the mirror and just appreciate yourself? And just say to yourself that you're looking awesome, you're looking beautiful. In all of your imperfections, you accept yourself and you're just flawless. And you accept your mistakes. And you're able to be a better version of yourself. And you're able to remind yourself that the person that you are right now will not be the same person that you will be tomorrow, because you're growing yourself. And that is self-love.
Women are nurturers, multitaskers. They always take care of everybody except themselves. How can this help them, especially when it comes to them not feeling guilty? Because of course, we feel guilty when we try to, I've not done this, I need to do this. How can they do that?
I think the society builds up a woman to have so much expectation, so many rules. But we have to remind ourselves that apart from all of these rules, we are ourselves. You have to take out some time for yourself. For instance, 5-10 minutes is not too much, because before you expect any other person to love you, you have to love yourself first. And people are going to treat you the way you treat yourself. So apart from those expectations, those societal rules that we play out there, you have to be yourself. You have to be the first cheerleader to yourself. You have to also remember that self-care is not being selfish. I'm not saying that you should be arrogant. I'm not saying you should be rude. I'm not saying you should have it all to yourself and just consume it all by yourself. No. Self-love is taking care of yourself. For instance, there are different ways you can take care of yourself. Self-care can go emotionally, it can go socially, it can go mentally, it can go emotionally. So physical ways of taking care of yourself: ensure that you take good health, take good care of your health by eating well, having good sleep. At least you should have a minimum of 7 hours of sleep in 24 hours. Eating good food. You should not just eat because you're hungry and you should eat.
Or it's available.
Or it's available. No, we should have portion control and eat the right kind of food. And it shouldn't just be like, okay, you have so much to eat in abundance and you should just keep eating. You should remember that you are not taking care of yourself because you are damaging your body cells. So all of these little things that we have to incorporate. Mentally, you also have to take care of yourself. You have to incorporate all of this, and it gives you an overall well-being. It's because well-being is wholesome. You have to take care of yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, and all of that. So mentally, how are you taking care of yourself? You have to remember that you always have to grow. The person that you should be today should not be the person that you should be tomorrow. Read books. Open your mind to learning. Have an open mindset. Emotionally, how are you taking care of yourself? You should remember that first, it's your duty to make yourself happy. It's not any other person's duty. Any other person can support you in that, but first you have to feel yourself to be happy. First, when you wake up in the morning, you can decide to tell yourself that, okay, Today it's not a day to be angry. Today it's not a day to be sad. Many people are going through many things, and not everybody is able to look at themselves and empower themselves and be the people to motivate themselves. Some people go to bed and probably it's not really good. Some people go to bed crying, and tomorrow you see them with the makeup and they're doing fine. How is that, or how is all of that possible? Because first you have to be the person that engineers your life before you look out to other people, because you're going to be having a wallow party, you're going to be having a pity party, you're going to be the person that is always seeking out to other people, and having a very low self-esteem affects who you are as a woman. So self-love contains all of that. Self-care is encompassing of all of this.
So which one comes first? First love of self-love or self-care?
So first you have to love yourself. It is that affirmation. It is that nobody else gives it to you. It is a feeling. It is an emotion that lives inside of you. You are appreciating yourself. You are embracing yourself. It's like, if I'm going to express it physically, I'm going to do this. This is
Hug yourself.
Yes, this is what it feels like physically. Like just you holding yourself and hugging yourself and appreciating yourself. Self-care are the actions that you take. You knowing that, okay, I need to do this, I need to take enough water, I need to have a healthy mindset, I need to have a healthy well-being. I need to put myself first and not put myself at the risk of all of those other things that will make me ruin my self-confidence, make me ruin my self-esteem, make me ruin my, all of those things, make me ruin my emotional well-being.
You mentioned something while you were talking, that you wake up in the morning and you tell yourself, I'm not going to get angry today. Does it work?
Yeah. Well, actually,
yeah, society, does it work?
Does it really work? Actually, I would say yes. Why? Because it works for me.
Okay.
It works for me, and it begins with self-love. It begins with that belief. It begins with that feeling, that emotion that you have actually. And all of these things are affirmations that you give to yourself. If you feel that it doesn't work for you, of course it isn't going to work. But then if you feel wholeheartedly that by you telling yourself, you have to be the first person to believe in yourself. By you telling yourself that I am going to be strong, I am not going to be angry with myself. Okay, I strongly stand against using negative affirmations. Like, I am strong and I am all of these things. You can just have a sticker in front of your mirror that reminds you of all of these things. And it is not just you just saying it out with your lips, but then saying it into your heart and accepting all of those things and really believing that you can do all of these things. And of course, you cannot be self-sufficient. You have to have somewhere you can fall back to, maybe a sisters group, maybe a healthy relationship. Keeping healthy relationship or healthy circles can also actually help you to boost your self-love and relationship with yourself, because you cannot imagine that you live with toxic people and you expect all of these things to work. But if you find yourself in and somebody might ask, what if you find yourself in a very toxic environment, a workspace, or even in the family where all of these things, it's really difficult. First, you have to create boundaries. You have to create coping mechanisms for you to be able to work, or for you to be able to enable yourself to triumph in all of this. Despite, it's like you are wallowing in probably you're swimming in the water, but you have to keep yourself afloat. You have to remember that you have to be there for yourself.
So far, you've been talking, while talking about self-love and self-care, you mentioned affirmation severally. What is the role of affirmation in self-love and self-care? Okay.
To cut the long grammar short, affirmation are just those things that you say to yourself to reaffirm, they are beliefs that you nurture in yourself, for you to remind yourself that these are what you work with. These are they are mantras. They are like they are repeated words that you often say to keep yourself positive.
Okay, of course.
And what role do they play?
Yeah, what role do they play?
Very good. It's like you keep on reminding yourself that, look, I am stupid, I am stupid, I am stupid. Before you know it, you would start acting stupid. All of such things, we have come a long way telling ourselves. Sometimes we do that to ourselves. Sometimes it begins when other people do that to us. And then we grow up believing that because we hear it repeatedly. And so imagine if you repeatedly keep on telling yourself, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am happy. I am beautiful, I am strong, I am happy. And you express this and you accept this wholeheartedly. of course you will begin to feel beautiful, you begin to feel strong, you begin to feel, and it exudes and it increases. You sow a seed and it grows. There was an experiment that went on by I can't remember his name right now, but I hope I will. Mind Valley, the creator of Mind Valley, you can Google it. He does a lot of work around building, creating positive mindset and all of that. And they planted 2 plants. Three plants. They kept them by the window, same sunlight, gave them same water and all of that. So the first, it was a neutral one. They didn't do anything to it. They didn't plant any seed, and it was just there. The second, they planted a seed, and the third, they planted a seed. So this was it. Every morning you come to this one and swear, you curse it, you tell it it's going to grow downwards, you tell it it's going to be wayward, it's going to be anything negative, just curse it. And the second one, you're going to bless it. Tell it you're going to be fruitful, you're going to be blessed, you're going to be blossoming and all of that. And you know what? When those 3 plants, of course, after some time, it was expected that they were going to be sprouting. The first one was empty, of course, because it's the control. The second one actually had downward looking plants. It was ugly, it was colorless, it was dark, it was not blooming at all. And the third one was actually very blossom. It was very nice, it looked very beautiful, and it had beautiful flowers. So these are just, and they actually showed, you would see the video. I think if you were able to Google it, you would see the video there. So this was an experiment of plants. How about us, advanced animals? How about us that have the capacity to think, that are made perfectly, that have a brain to think and process and create and recreate and procreate and reproduce and all of that? So you can imagine how these simple words we say to other people can stick with them for life. And it's like it becomes a tumor for them in their heart. It becomes too heavy for them that they begin to believe it themselves. So it goes a long way. So affirmation, in a simple nutshell, affirmation is all of this. Start an affirmation and truly believe that it's going to work for you. That's the only way it's going to work.
This brings me to my next question.
All right.
Affirmation, self-care, self-love. What is the connection to self-esteem? Because with the analogy you've given, with the plants speaking into it. Now, imagine a girl child growing up in a home and negative words are being spoken to her. What will happen when positive words are spoken to her? Exactly. Self-esteem.
ABC equals whatever it is. It just goes, it affects your self-confidence, it affects your self-esteem, it affects your psychology, it affects the way you think, it affects the way you also relate to other people. Toxic people attract toxic nature, attract toxic things. So you can imagine sometimes we are harmless to ourselves, and this is how it affects self-esteem. Imagine telling a girl child that you're going to be a leader, you're going to be the best, you're going to be beautiful, you're going to have a bright future. She begins to see all of those possibilities. She begins to think in that mindset. She doesn't see anything negative apart from what you have told her. She creates a positive mindset, because above all of what's within us, above anything that you see anybody doing out there, is the mindset. If you can build a mindset, if you can mold a mindset, it's the best gift that you can give to a girl child. It's the best gift that you can give to anybody. And if you destroy that, they're going to be very destructive. They're not going to come out, except of course if they grow the skills and they become positive. Because the good thing is self-love can be started at any point. It can be learned. It's not something that you were born with. You can actually begin to learn, okay, how can I love myself better? And that brings me to gratitude. If you are able to start from the moment that you find yourself, to start right where you start yourself. Somebody out there might be saying, what is all this English speaking? It's not it's not gonna work, it's grammar and all of that. I would assure you that the moment you begin to start with gratitude, it's that moment where you begin to see the positive side of life. It's when you are able to appreciate one, you'd be able to appreciate, even if you have 100. And even if you have 1,000 and you're not able to appreciate it, even if you would have 1,000,000, you're never going to be appreciating it. So it really starts from what you have right now. Start sowing the seed right now.
Okay, so you said we should start sowing the seed right now. How can a mom who has a girl child start sowing that seed into that girl child? Because so much is expected from the woman. From the cradle, she grows into a teenager, she's getting married, taking care of everybody except herself. So how can her mom or an older woman who is nurturing a girl child start sowing the seed into that child?
Okay. So now imagine if you had a girl child and you wanted to start building all of this beautiful mindset in her. Every little thing that she did that is positive, no matter how little it is, praise it and learn to encourage her to build all of those things. She can do something. Definitely we all have those things that are good in us, that are inbuilt in us. You can tell her you look beautiful. You can tell her. Some of our young children don't actually get to hear that until a man tells them outside that they are beautiful. Let's begin to tell our young children that they are beautiful, they are confident, let's begin to applaud them, let's be their cheerleaders, let's begin to encourage them and instill these positive behaviors in them. And then they will be, because it's a natural instinct to want to be loved, it's a natural instinct to want to be praised, to want to be acknowledged. The moment you are not able to acknowledge that person, it's a natural need. It's part of nature. So the moment you're able to appreciate all of this, it grows, it flourishes, more of it comes in. But the moment you're easy to spank, not really spank, but then you're easy to condemn a child. No, it doesn't matter the gender. The moment how do I put it now? The moment you condemn, they're going to revolt to it. They're not going to feel loved, and they're going to look for the attention in negative ways. And that is when you'll see that you'll see more of the behaviors, because that's where you're focusing on. Where focus goes, focus grows, and that is how it is.
Say that again.
Where focus goes, focus grows.
We'll be going on a short break, and when we come, there are so many things for us to talk about. How the woman can take care of herself. Activities that,
of course, we'll have to talk about activities, like what's the self-care, self-love she's talking about. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
We'll talk more about it after the break.
We'll be going on a short break. We've been discussing self-care and self-love, the general well-being of a woman. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite. This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television, Star Times Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, and UHF Channel 38.
Welcome back. This is Feminine Scope, and if you're just joining us, we've been talking about the general well-being of a woman, talking about self-care and self-love. And we still have our guest in the studio, Coach Khadija, popularly called Coach K. We're back, bro. Before we went on a short break, we've been talking about, self-esteem and all that. Now let's come to the woman herself. She's a nurturer. She takes care of her husband. She takes care of the children. She takes care of herself, if I'll put that in quotes, because everybody comes first before her. Now, how can she take out time to take care of herself? Because it's not just about staying in the house and taking care of everybody. How can she have a me time?
That's very important. I'm happy you spoke about me time. So first, there are activities that you have to do too. It's not just about saying I love myself or I'm going to do things for myself. And it's not being selfish, as I earlier said. It's not just putting yourself and, of course, having everything to yourself, thinking that you should do things. It's not a reckless kind of life. It is taking responsibility. It is taking action for what should be. Taking into consideration that you have roles to play. Taking into consideration where to start, taking into consideration what boundaries to build around yourself. First, you, as a mother, sister, or all of the roles that you are expected to play, you have to also remember that before you are all of that, you are to yourself first. And how do you appreciate yourself? First, you have to have goals. You have to have things to be able to do to balance yourself, because if there isn't a balance, it's like you see a truck on the road and one of its tire is flat. That truck is definitely not going to be balanced. So there are times where you have to be in control of your emotions, social well-being, physical well-being, mental well-being, for you to have a balanced life. Because if you're focusing on one, it's like you're bent on one tire. So how do you ensure that you are physically okay? Because there are many emotions that just goes into the woman's mind, that in a day you have over 1,000 emotions. You're happy, you're sad, you're angry,
mood swings.
Mood swings. And then we happen to be in a society where everything happens in a rush. And if you don't take out time, you get lost in all of these things. You become so overwhelmed. And don't forget that, of course, somebody's going to step on your foot, and you also have to step on other persons. You can't live as an island. You have to step on other people's shoes. So how do you regulate all of this? And that's where the me time comes in. Sometimes you have to take some time out to reflect, to meditate. So what I mean by that is, before anybody comes for my neck, meditation is just actually being there, focusing your mind, giving your mind that peace, giving your mind that focus, giving your mind some regulation, taking out 5-10 minutes to yourself to rest, not to forget about everything that is going to happen tomorrow, or forget about anything that did happen yesterday. Just think about now. Just breathe in and breathe out, and let your body relax, and just stay with that. Shut out the chatters in your head and just relax. You can play a soothing music, you can play a soothing affirmation, or you can just enjoy the silence. Many people are not able to hold this for a minute. Try it. It's an exercise. I challenge you to it. Many people are not definitely something will come into your mind. So the more you are able to exude that peace, just breathe in and out, it helps your mental well-being. You're able to cast out anxiety, like, what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen if I don't do this? What's going to happen? We are control freaks naturally, as I would say, as parents. What's going to happen to my daughter if I don't do this? What's going to happen to... Just calm down. Everybody's going to be okay. I promise you. I promise you everything is going to be fine. Just give yourself 5 minutes to rest, to just chill. So that's me time. That's and somebody might ask me, I have 5 kids, how do I get 2 minutes out of that? Please. Especially
with toddlers.
Exactly. You need that. Because if you don't take out time to do that, you're going to be having an overwhelm for hours. So just if the child is able to talk, or if the child is able to think, or if you have another caretaker, please just take out 5 minutes. I just need 5 minutes. If you can go out, breathe in and out. If the child sleeps, we don't have to be perfect. Sometimes you just have to take out those first 5 minutes to rest. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just stay with this and consider it important, because if you don't consider it important, you're not going to do it at all. If you before you go out for a walk, or before you start cooking, just give yourself that 5 minutes. If there's anything, there's always going to be time for what you consider important. And if you can have 24 hours, you can have 5 minutes to yourself.
Most times it's difficult, especially for nursing mothers who don't have helps. How can they do this?
If you have another caretaker with you, please make them understand that you need this sanity. You just need 5 minutes to yourself. Or if the child sleeps, if it's important. So if you really have a mindset that you're going to grow this, you're going to have 5 minutes to yourself.
Women get very guilty when they are resting. Which other way can they have a me time, apart from all these you've said, meditating and all that? Are there support groups? Are there people or places, they can go to for help?
I'm happy that now I think there are many places, or many mental well-being has become because of course if you lose self-care, if you lose touch with yourself, it's going to affect your emotions, and you're going to start having anxiety issues, depression issues, and I don't want to go into all of those mental health topics, but then it's going to affect your well-being. So how do you help yourself through that? How do you ensure that you maintain sanity? I'm happy to say that there are many times we talk about all of these things, and now you will find groups on social media. You will find a lot of other things. If you open your mind, you're going to find it. You're going to find a group of women. You can actually start a group of women. Bring your friends together and just tell them that, okay, Sunday afternoon, let's have a hangout. Just sit out and talk about nothing but the good times that we're going to have, and just enjoy that moment. 1 minute or two, you can start. Anybody can wake up and start a close group of just having well-being, self-love to themselves. It's not such a difficult thing to do. Just have a group of close-minded people that have like minds and start something. You can have tea time. You can go for a walk and come back. You can have a neighbor that is also interested in all of these things. Sit down and give yourself a good time to yourself. Sometimes you can do grounding, go closer to nature, take out some time to walk around your compound, watch things that are going to grow your mind. Engage in activities that are going to be pleasing, that you're going to feel happy doing. You don't have to do things that you don't necessarily like to do. There are many people that are not happy doing their jobs. There are many people that are not happy being where they are. But then, even if you find yourself in such situations, you have to create an enabling environment for yourself. You have to create a lifestyle that fits you. You don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to live by the societal expectations. You have to be comfortable where you find yourself and who you are being. So that is it. And there are many social media stuffs that you would find out help.
We've been talking about the woman helping herself. How can the people around the woman help her when it comes to self-love, self-care, and generally taking care of herself?
Okay, first I would like to say that people are going to treat you the way you treat yourself. If you invest in yourself, other people are going to naturally know that you have invested in yourself, and they're going to treat you as such. And if you don't, if you become the trash, everybody is going to make you the trash. So it goes with your self-esteem. If people know that at so time you go to bed, they give you that, and that's why you have to create that boundary. And you have to openly be able to communicate to other people. You have to be able to say no when it warrants saying no. You have to be able to know that, okay, there are differences between what you should keep for yourself, what you should keep for family, or what you should keep out there for friends. You shouldn't just be a person that sways to what anybody wants you to do, or what everybody out there wants you to do. And when you are able to do that, you're able to ground yourself. And other people will flow by what it is that you are offering to them.
You mentioned creating boundaries, but most times it doesn't work well here, especially when it comes to family. People might take it the wrong way when you're trying to explain to them, like, you know, I need to get some sleep. Okay. So how do you handle this? Okay,
it actually goes, it actually matters the way you go about it. You're not going to be rude about it. You're not going to be arrogant about it. It's about how you're able to say, okay, can you come take me to the hospital? Okay, when can we do this? Right now I need an hour to sleep, and when I wake up at so I'm just giving you an instance. There has to be time for everything. You have to factor in the same way you love your sister should be more even the way you love yourself. So if you are able to factor in all of these things and politely let people know that, okay, these are the ways that you go around it. Sometimes you cannot satisfy everybody, and you cannot be there for everybody. But then the little that you can do, give yourself out to other people, and then give it back to yourself. Because if everybody just keeps taking, it's like a cup of water. One day it's going to be empty. And when it's empty, we're all going to go and look for the next cup that has water in it. So keep some water for yourself.
Your final words to the woman on how to take care of herself, her general well-being, showing herself love and care.
So my final words is, no matter the situation, some people might be going through a very low moment in their life right now, and some people might be very happy and exuding, but no matter what level you find yourself, remember that you should have a balance. Remember that it's important that you take care of yourself. Remember that it's important that you give back to yourself, because no matter how other people may love you, you are the first person to love yourself first.
We sincerely appreciate you for taking our time to be with us today.
It was a pleasure being here.
We've really learned a lot about, you know, the woman taking care of herself generally. Thank you so much. Our guest has been Khadija Ibrahim, popularly called Coach K, a life coach who offers counseling and support services to people who want to be a better version of themselves and create incredible possibilities. She specializes in coaching on personal development, premarital counseling, marriage counseling, and therapy after divorce. Finally, the importance of self-love and self-care in our lives as women cannot be overemphasized. But it's very important to discuss this too in the life of a woman. Women, as we all know, are made by God to be life givers, nurturers, multitaskers, and caregivers. They are generally compassionate, loving, and empathic by nature. Because of being so loving and caring, they often miss to take care of themselves and feel guilty for sparing even a few minutes for themselves. Women, to show yourself self-love and care, put yourself first. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Don't be scared to let go of toxic people, and most importantly, a spa section or a girls' hangout to relax wouldn't be a bad idea. In my opinion, every woman must include self-love and self-care in her dictionary. That's the much we can take on the program today. Until next week, bye-bye.